Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is Pool Chapter 22. This one is titled Take Back Time. While you continued through the bush, Yagirozu made blankets for everyone, so that you could all stay covered when you got close to base. You looked across at her as she made the last one, and noticed that she was shaking and sweating a little. "You alright?" you asked her softly, touching her arm to get her attention. She nodded. "I'll be okay. I just made a lot of things today, so my stores are low. But I can still go on." "Don't push yourself," you warned tenderly. In return, she gave you a beautiful smile. "Miss Lin, you believe in me, and you have given me so much confidence and support. All I want to do in return is show you the good that you've done, by giving you my all," she said earnestly. In all honesty, you wanted to tear up right there and then. This is all you ever wanted to hear. This is what you wanted to give the next generation, hope and encouragement. And to hear a student tell you that you had influenced them in a way that was good just really hit home. But not wanting to get too emotional, you instead opted to give her a heartfelt smile, then continued on with the plan. "Okay everyone, I'm not sure how close we are, but let's try to be as quiet as possible so that we can do a stealth attack," you said to your team of 4 students. They all nodded in return and pulled the blankets up over their heads, falling in single file behind you. You kept low to the ground, picking your way along and stopping every now and again to listen, and finally ahead you saw the back of Aizawa standing with his arms crossed next to both flags. "So this bloody none for y'all, Eraser Daddy, did take our flag. The lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch. I'm gonna slap him up the side of his head with my hand as I steal the flag back. Sleeping bag bitch thinks he can play the game like this. I don't think so," you muttered internally to yourself, absolutely irate at his impertinence. You glanced back at your students and saw that they had all seen Aizawa too, nodding to you in acknowledgement. It seemed that he hadn't seen any of you, and it looked like he was relaxed but still on guard a little, and you crept forward to get a better line to be able to shoot your arm out and grab the flag. You didn't really care if he saw you take the flag, because once you had it in your hand, then that meant that you'd won, and if he turned his quirk on you, then you just duck under your cover and the others could go at him one by one. Someone had to get a hit in, surely. Placing your arm down on the ground, you extended it out, sliding it along like a snake towards the flagpole, but slowed as you got closer behind him. "Even if he steps on my arm, I'll be fine because I can flatten it out," you thought as you slid slowly past him and wrapped your fingers around the base of the pole. You paused for a second, because you knew that the minute you lifted the flag and it moved, he would turn to look to see who it was and realise what you were doing. Setting your face with determination, you yanked the pole up and wriggled the flag free of the ground, then retracted your arm as quickly as you could. Aizawa jumped sideways as the flag face-planted into the ground beside him and started sliding rapidly backwards. But before he could turn to see who it was, Yagirozu had jumped up and made a binding cloth similar to his and thrown it at him, then pulled, wrapping the ties tightly around his body and slamming his arms to his sides. Todoroki quickly jumped up beside Yagirozu and shot ice at Aizawa, scooping him up off the ground and lifting him to a nearby tree, then dumping him over a branch so that he was hanging by the body from Yagirozu's rope. "Got it!" Midoriya said proudly, throwing his blanket off and grabbing the flag as it swiftly retracted into the bush. While everyone was doing something, Kirishima ran between you and Aizawa so that the quirk eraser couldn't see you, all students contributing in some way to the mission. "Well done, team," you said proudly as you stood up and walked out into the clearing and looked up at Aizawa. "Yagirozu, could you lower him down just a little?" you asked. She nodded and released the rope a small bit so that he descended down to your level, his hair hanging from his face as he stared at you with his usual deadpan gaze. You let out a small, amused snort, staring smugly into his face. "Next time you pull a stunt like that, I'm going to rip your—" "Miss Lin, you are here," Ida called as he raced into the clearing, sweat dotting his brow. "We have been conducting a search and rescue for you." "Oh, that's very kind of you, Ida, but Yagirozu found me," you replied with a smile. "And then we decided to take our flag back before Aizawa claimed that he had won the game." "Sir?" Ida asked, turning to the still dangling Aizawa. "Did you take the flag while Miss Lin was still a missing persons? Isn't that a little underhanded?" You looked from Ida back to Aizawa and raised an eyebrow, popping a hip out and crossing your arms with a type pout, waiting to hear what he had to say for himself. "Well, it is true that I single-handedly orchestrated the kidnapping of Miss Lin. The purpose was to teach you all that sometimes missions can become complicated and or compromised," he said in a very teacher-esque tone. Well, this one was certainly complicated, Ida admitted. But, Yagirazu interjected, we all worked together as a team to find Miss Lin, rescue her, then recover our flag, which was the main objective. The students all smiled to each other, proud of the work that they had done, and Aizawa hung his head so that they couldn't see the massive grin on his face. Once again, they've impressed me, he thought to himself. Looks like I won't be expelling anyone this time. And there ends chapter 22. Stay tuned for chapter 23.